Go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery. The shuttle has cleared the tower.
The production of this film has been made possible by a generous funding from Badur Charitable Foundation.
They have been en ride into orbit. Discovery now making one last reach for the stars, reducing the stress on the shuttle as it goes supersonic.
Discovery Houston, you are go at throttle up.
Discovery's engines are now throttling down as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum pressure. Commander Steve Lindsay acknowledging the call from Capcom Charlie Hoba as Discovery's 3 main engines throttle back up.
T-minus 16 seconds. Sound suppression water system has been activated. Pad from protecting Discovery and the launch. We have a go for main engine start. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery, hoisting harmony to the heavens and opening new gateways for international science. Discovery has cleared the tower.
Liftoff, liftoff, indeed. To some people, this is truly the moment of illumination in the story of modern science. A full-rounded, four-dimensional moment that triggered into an almost totally new dimension man's age-old quest for answers to a few existential questions. Where did we come from? How did this happen? And what is our destiny? Questions among many that persistently preoccupied our human race since time immemorial. Ancient myths, created by that quest, were the outcome of many a civilization. Philosophers and early scientists, driven by human curiosity centuries ago, have had their fair share of search and research. When darkness reigned, even before the advent of the Middle Ages, those mind expeditions were destined to gain new ground. For a few centuries, a remarkable contribution was made to the birth of modern age. But when the torch was about to die out, a few courageous men had ultimately managed, against all odds, to pick up the torch, and eventually the pursuit for scientific answers acquired a new momentum. And over the last 100 years, man's quantum leap into almost all realms of knowledge has caused a close encounter to happen for the first time on another world.
Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Since that defining moment, mankind is still pushing the cosmic envelope into brave new dimensions of science, discovery, and imagination. A free leap into space in an artist's impression seems almost the only gateway to the heavens, a driving force behind man's burning desire to fly out and away, to see and know his place in the universe. He is there now, overtaken by awe and wonder, trying to ascend through what seemed for long forbidding frontiers around those cosmic gates, the gates of heaven. If we were to open for them a gate into heaven, and they proceeded to ascend through it, they would say, "Our eyes have been bedazzled. Rather, we are a bewitched people." 15:15.
I began to grasp why.
You cannot escape knowledge. Science is knowledge.
T-minus 15 seconds. The sound suppression water system has been activated.
10. VLS is go for main engine start.
We have a go for main engine start. Main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery, celebrating its 25th birthday by racking up science and supplies to the space station.
Houston now controlling the midnight ride of Rick Sturckow and his crew to the International Space Station.
I'm a believer, and no, I did not see God up there, but you certainly did feel His presence. And so I certainly felt closer to God. You're up there, there's only 7 of you up there going around this beautiful world of ours every 90 minutes going once around. And you look at it, and then you look at the stars, you look at our sun, and you say, this is just too perfect for it to be coincidence or a freak of nature, of science, for this to have occurred. There had to be a higher being that created all this beauty. And so that's what makes you feel closer to God.
Moreover, say, all praise is for God. He shall show all of you His wondrous signs, so that you shall know them to be utterly true. For never is your Lord at all heedless of what you human beings do. 93:27.
The Quran tasks us as individuals to look further into science, to look further into understanding the universe.
Well, I really prefer, if somebody wants to know about Islam or be introduced to Islam, I prefer that they first read about Islam before they go to read the Quran. Because the Quran is much different from the Bible in its organization and its approach and its, so you've got that initial sort of obstacle, that where it's much better if they have a context for it.
Yusuf Ali was the Quran I read to start with. His writing, his translation is the one I've grown into Islam with.
Now behold the heaven. It is we alone who built it with mighty hands, and indeed it is we alone who are expanding it. 47:51.
What the Quran needs is more people in the West to see the content of the Quran and see the scientific verses, so that skepticism of divine revelation can be looked at afresh, and people can understand that there is a holy book that talks to people and talks to modern science and says, this is the way the universe is. The Quran is so much more than the other holy books before it.
أغلبية الناس بعدوا من الفطرة خصوصا في الغرب وليس لهم إلا الخطاب المنطقي فالبرهان بالإعجاز العلمي يأتي مناسب لأن يصادف عقولهم.
Just consider this. Isaac Newton, who was perhaps the greatest scientist of all time, once said about his landmark discoveries, I have been like a boy playing on the seashore, diverting myself and now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than usual, while the great ocean of truth lay before me, all undiscovered. Our understanding of the universe has come an enormously long way during the last 3 centuries. With science today at the center of the human experience, more opportunities and means are becoming available to help us travel the yet undiscovered realms of knowledge. Whether these realms are to be visited inside ourselves, in the undiscovered 97% of the Earth's oceans, or in the wide open universe around us, the human endeavor is ultimately bound for heavenly contact with the one God of this diversified and unified creation. One thing is certain: Newton's great ocean of truth lies before us. All horizons are accessible, and that is a heavenly promise. Verse 53, chapter 41 of the Qur'an attests to that. We shall show them our signs in the horizons and in themselves, until it becomes utterly clear to them that this Qur'an is, indeed, the divine truth. Is it not sufficient that your Lord himself is the witness over all things? 53:41.
Al-Harth, Surah Al-Bagara, Ayah 223, your wives are as a tilth unto you. This Arabic term refers to the plowing of the earth and the sowing of the seed in it. This term is used in reference to sexual intercourse, plowing, and implantation of the blastocyst, sowing of the seed. This analogy is a very good one, since the blastocyst develops root-like structures called chorionic villi, which derive oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood, just as the roots of the plant, shown here, derive their nutrients from the soil. Muhammad could not have known these facts about human development in the 7th century because most of them were not discovered until the 20th century. Muslims and others are justified in concluding that these facts could only have been revealed to Muhammad by the one who knows all about us, not only about how we developed, but how we live and function.
Then we created the sperm drop into a clinging thing. Then we created the clinging thing into a morsel-like lump. Then we created in the morsel-like lump bones. Then we clothed the bones with flesh. Thus do we bring him forth as an entirely different creation. So blessed be God, the best of creators.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome. The title advertised was The Amazing Quran. I would suggest first of all that to call the Quran amazing is something that isn't done simply by Muslims who may have an appreciation for the Quran and are very pleased with it, but the book has been called amazing by non-Muslims. Non-Muslims, in fact people who are very filled with dislike for Islam, have still been surprised at the Quran. They've been amazed at what it has to say. I had the pleasure just about a week ago of interviewing him for a television presentation. We talked a great deal about this. It was illustrated by slides and so on. He mentioned that in fact some of the things that the Quran said about the growth of the human being weren't known until 30 years ago. In fact, when he was asked, how do you explain this information in the Quran? How did it get there? His explanation was, it can only be revealed. Now that's a non-Muslim, but a man who knows. That's all he has to say.
Have those who disbelieve not seen by the knowledge they acquire that the heavens and the earth were conjoined in one mass? Then we caused them to split.
الإعجاز العلمي في القرآن الكريم معناه إثبات سبق القرآن الكريم بالإشارة إلى كم هائل من الحقائق العلمية التي لم تكن معروفة في زمن الوحي، ولم يكن ممكنا لأحد من البشر إدراكها في زمن الوحي، ولم تدرك إلا في القرنين الماضيين وبعضها في العقود المتأخرة من القرن العشرين.
In general, if you think about the Quran, there are all kinds of signs in it and all kinds of indications of the importance of knowledge and the importance of investigation and the importance of seeking to know more about God's creations. You cannot take what is in the Quran as a fait accompli, as something that has been completed and this is it and this is all the science there is and you don't need to study anything else if you read the Quran. That can be dangerous and it's wrong.
In many books I found a lot of things which are speculation of the minds and sometimes extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous.
As a scientist, when you're dealing with scientific method, you deal with absolute proofs. So you say, this does this and I can prove it and I can show it. So you're not likely to refer to the Quran because it's not within your scientific culture. And I think that's right. What I'm doing is approaching the Quran in a way, I've approached it in a scientific way, saying it purports to be the word of God. And these things in it are revealed to be right. But if I was studying the properties of polonium-210, I wouldn't have to refer to the Quran because that isn't evidence in terms of scientific evidence because it's not measurable other than in the context of itself. It was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, but we can't. There's some science around the actual science of the Quran, but there's no. We wouldn't. A scientist wouldn't say, "Oh, I found this. Oh, and by the way, I'm using proof the fact that it's mentioned in the Quran," because that isn't the way scientific method works. And I don't think it would have been the way scientific method worked even in the years when there was that happy union between science and Islam. Although I think people would have opened their eyes, Islamic scientists would have said, isn't that amazing, that awe and wonder, it's repeated in the Quran, but you couldn't use the Quran as proof because that isn't the way science works.
By the heaven, streaked with fabric, interwoven threads. 751.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I just want to give you a little introduction of why I became Muslim and how it just came about really. I got a book out a few months ago. It's called The Bible, the Qur'an and Science. That book it's so great. It's by an author called Maurice Bukai, and then he also goes on to say that the Quran is, in modern knowledge, it can't be explained, and therefore it must be the word of God because things that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago cannot be explained today. How they knew it, sort of thing, and it's just a great book. You should check it out. It's really good.
For the Quran, I see that I could not find something in contradiction with science.
I studied Islam for 6 months before I converted to Islam, and after about a few weeks, a few months of studying it, I started to look up the scientific and mathematical miracles of the Quran, and I started thinking to myself, that's how, if people say that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would have wrote this book, how is it possible that he knew things that we have just discovered 10 years ago? So that's when I started thinking that this must be God's words.
How long have you been a Muslim? 3 years. 3 years. The thing that got me to believe was the scientific miracles of the Quran. I can't really name that many of them, but so many, yes. there are many.
However, I discovered the Quran's amazing accuracy on scientific statements in the fields of embryology, geology, astronomy, physics, etc. This led me to logically and rationally conclude that the Quran must be God's word, because Muhammad was illiterate. But the Quran is accurate in statements which were only scientifically discovered in modern times.
How long have you been a Muslim?
5 months, inshallah.
5 months?
Yeah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was his message.
What attracted you to the Muslim faith?
It was science. Science was what made me really revert to Islam. Your brother here, alhamdulillah, he accepts Islam as well.
Okay, your brother?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
What's your name?
Isa. Let me finish, please, then you can argue with me, yeah? When I read in the Quran about the production in the womb, I could not comprehend it. Do you know why? Because in order for us to know of sperm and to know of the womb and to know of the egg inside the womb and what happens once they join together, we have to get a microscope or some sort of scanner to have a look, don't we? Yeah. The only reason we know today is because we've looked in the microscope, we've looked with the scanners, correct? In the Quran, 1400 years ago, 1000 years before the microscope was invented, it is written in the Quran how to have a microscope.
Scientist Freeman Dyson once wrote, "The more I examine the universe and study the details of its architecture, the more evidence I find that the universe, in some sense, must have known we were coming." Indeed, the universe was notified of our coming. A multitude of verses in the Quran would attest to that, prepping our planet for the advent of man, the successor of God on earth. One instance in verse 20, chapter 31. "Do you not see, O humans, that God has subjugated for you all that is in the heavens and all that is in the earth, and has showered you with his blessings, manifest and hidden?" 20:31. Yes, Professor Dyson, the universe knew we were coming on a privileged chariot. Or, that is what verse 70, chapter 17 of the Quran tells us. "Very truly, we have so honored the children of Adam, for we have carried them through the land and the sea, and we have provided them with all that is wholesome in life, and we have so favored them above most of what we have created with such immense preference." 70:17. Science writer Bill Bryson sums it all up, confirming man's ultimate privilege in the cosmos. In his trademark style, he addresses us. "The only thing special about the atoms that make you is that they make you. That is, of course, the miracle of life." If we, I, you, they, the sun, the earth, and the entire 4% of matter in the observable universe are all created of the same atoms of cosmic dust, we couldn't aspire for a tighter bond. One creation of one Creator. It is that organic bond that tells us that we still have yet to learn a great deal about ourselves from our heavenly components. In doing so, while celebrating the merits of life on earth, we should never cease commuting to the heavens, hopefully to reach for more answers and ultimately for the big meaning. That is a quest befitting for man, taking us, for years and probably centuries to come, right through the very thresholds of those heavenly gates, the gates of heaven.
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير.
Religion isn't something that you should follow blindly. If you have questions, you need to do research and find the answers. It is the uncorrupted way to worship God. So I hope that, inshallah, you will find my webpage helpful. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and peace be on you.